Yeah, YouTubers Taz, man, here bringing you another episode of Foundry Virtual Tabletop version 12 from the ground up. And I kind of got sidetracked as to what I was doing, so I was jumping right into the Fandelver and Below the Shattered Obelisk, but I didn't actually do one other thing I wanted to before we actually got into that. And that is to actually go over the different settings, because that's definitely something that changes from system to system. We get some additional settings usually. Everything else I think is the same. So once we've gone over the settings, I'm also going to add the module that I told you guys about just so I can import from D&D Beyond. I did find it is called DDB. So DDB importer. And basically it allows you to take characters that you create in D&D Beyond and import the whole character in. Now it also has other features that you can use that make it really nice, but those ones you have to be a Patreon, where you can actually import adventures, you can import your rule books and all that stuff, so you have full access, to all the monsters that you actually have on D&D Beyond. But we're not actually going to go into that because I'm trying to keep this as low cost as possible, which so far for this series, my only cost things are probably the two beginner boxes, the beginner box or starter set for Pathfinder 2e, and the Fandelver and Below the Shattered Obelisk, or the starter set for D&D Beyond, and then of course Foundry itself. So those are really the only ones that I want to actually have cost anything. Everything else should be free and available for you to use. So since we're here, we're going to go ahead and also click Save Module with that one enabled. Just to let you know, one thing that will happen when you do that is in your compendiums, it will create another set of compendiums that is, if you have a Patreon to it, it will actually be able to download those things. So if we go into our compendiums, sorry about that, you'll see that we have this DDB Muncher, and that's the D&D Beyond Muncher. So if I click on that, it will say that, you have to enter your Cobalt cookie information, all that stuff. That's stuff that you can get when you join the Patreon and stuff. So we're not going to do that. The other thing it does is actually creates this folder, D&D Beyond, and within that folder, sometimes it'll have all your, well, they're actually out here right now because I deleted them already. But normally, they're inside here. Like so. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it this way. Maybe I can. It looks like I can. So anyway, all of these are completely empty. So if I go into the DDB monsters, you can see it's empty. But if I actually use that muncher and import them, it will go there. And we'll talk about the actual settings for this as well a little later on in this episode. So we're going to go back to our configurations, and the only real thing we need to look at is configure settings. We kind of already went over core settings and stuff like that. However, I would like to reiterate some things that you might want to make sure you have set. So if we just go look at the core permissions, this is where you might want to say, well, I can allow my players to actually do pings or something like that. So you can come in here and say, yes, they can. Or I can let them choose whether or not they make manual rolls. This is not the module that we'll be going over that allows for manual rolls. This is the default one. So you can go in there, do those. The only ones I really do, I like to do the default token settings when you drag a token out. Now, if I remember right, this does not count for player tokens, and we'll double check that. But as you can see, the default disposition is they're going to be hostile. I like to always set their name to be available for everyone, and then in resources I like that to be always for the owner, so I can actually see their health bar. Then I also, for like when we have multiple of the same token, I like it to append or prepend, I guess, an adjective in front of it. So I usually also check that one. These other ones, they're fine as the defaults. So we'll go ahead and do that. It's going to have to reload, of course. And load slowly. Okay. So, oh, wrong one. All right, so let's go back in here and look. Some other things I like to set, especially for the D&D, is, for example, in the combat tracker. Actually, I'm wondering if this has the same thing. Choose an attribute track for each combat. So you can come in here, and some handy things to have set is, you know, show the HP value of your things. So when they're in the combat tracker, they have that. There's one that I'm not seeing here that I think we actually look in the combat tracker itself and it tells you. But then you can also set combat theme. Yeah, nothing really special there. Let's see, configure our dice. This is where you can set the, you know, that your players have access to this and can actually say, yes, I'm using digital roll using mirrors in Twister or manual input or whatever. But that is each individual dice, which is kind of weird to me. But usually if I let them roll manually, I let them roll the whole thing. I think that might be all I really ever care about in this. Disable canvas, chat bubbles, pan to speaker. I do not like pan to speaker because then anytime someone talks, it will move the entire screen over to them. Chat bubbles are fine. Left click to release objects. I always like to make sure that one's checked. We talked about when we were looking at the original simple world building that you know, you can come in here to change some things, or your players can, to make it so that it'll run a little smoother. Like right now we have performance mode maximum. You can take it all the way down to low, which mostly changes how the lighting and shadowing works. You can also set the max frame rate, for example 60 here, or you know, if they need lower, they can do that. That will also slow down things. I like to also have the FPS down here that tells you what my current frames are, so I can see when and if they're actually going bad. We have our font size. If it's too small, too big, you can change that. Are we okay? I think, is that all the core? All right, so now let's look at the Dungeons & Dragons 5e stuff that's specific. So you can see this actually has the SRD for the 2024 because we actually have the Bastion stuff. I haven't done anything with Bastion, so I don't know a whole lot about it, but it looks like there's very few little settings for that. I'll have to look at that and maybe we'll revisit it later. Our compendium browser sources, this is what you allow them to look at for when they're doing the compendium browser. Usually I leave all these at the default. Some things, hopefully we'll get in here and we'll find them. So change visibility, show only from players, control what DCs are visible. I usually don't show the DCs, you know. I just leave it default here. If you want the DAC results to be shown to your players or whatever, you can do that. I'm not changing any of this at the moment, so I'm just going to kind of go down it to show you what things. Encumbrance tracking, that one, depending on my players, I might enable. Generally, I leave it disabled because I don't worry about it. But if I have people that are being pack rats and absolutely grabbing everything and obviously are being encumbered, I might come in here and actually enable this so that, you know, it will apply certain effects to them as far as, you know, how far they can move and things like that. Let's see. We have our rules version here now, where you can change it from the 2024 or the 2014. The rest variant is how long is a long rest is 8 hours. The default for short rest is 1 hour. You can always go change that where, you know, if you want gritty realism, long rest is 7 days, short rest is 8 hours. Or epic heroism is long rest is 1 hour, short rest is 1 minute. So this is where your players are able, you know, just to get in there really quick. Usually you won't even have a, you know, watch or anything like that with that one. Grid align proficiency variant. So this is the way your proficiency bonus goes up. I think at level 5 it goes to 3, and then I wonder if this tells you anymore. No, it doesn't. Or the alternate way is, or the variant way is actually in the DM's guide. It's a 1d4, 1d6, 1d8, 1d12. So they actually roll, but that could mean they actually go up and down in their variants. So that could be that. Allowing feats, that is actually an optional rule. Honor ability scores, sanity ability scores. This is actually one that I was looking for in the combat tracker. So what this one does, if it's checked, is if I have a player, 2 players that roll the same thing on their initiative, what this will do is then look at the value of their actual die roll, because, you know, an 11 and 12, or sorry, a 10 and 11 are both 0, 12 and 13 are both 1 on the modifier. So let's say they roll a 10, 2 people roll a 10, and they both have, you know, a +1 modifier to that. Then what it does is it actually looks, let's say one actually rolled a 10 and one actually rolled an 11. Then it would say that, let's see, what was it? Can't remember what my demo, so they rolled a 10 +1 modifier. Then it would put a decimal point and whatever their actual roll that they originally had when they were rolling the attributes. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll show you what that means later. Currency weight. Usually I don't care about currency weight. I'm not very picky with that. Leveling mode. Are you doing it with experience points with epic boons? Are you just doing a level advancement that, you know, it doesn't really care about experience points? It just is simply a milestone where you say, okay, go ahead and level up to this. Or then there's just experience points. Disable level up automation. This I wouldn't recommend, because the automation kind of helps you know what you can do. But you can actually go to like D&D Beyond or something else and actually look at, you know, what those settings are and what you need to do there. Disable concentration. So anytime you have a player that's doing a concentration spell and they take damage, they're supposed to roll to see if they fell. So basically a 10 and lower would be that they lose their concentration, the spell ends. 11 and higher would mean that they maintain that concentration and are able to keep the spell going. And then finally, collapse items in chat cards. So this is when your chat card comes up, it's usually pretty big. And if you set this, it will automatically have it in collapse mode, and then you click it to actually expand it. So that is those right there. Next thing is just the D&DB importer. There's only a couple things to note here is, let's see, where is it? So there's the D&D Beyond link in the title bar, and you can also make it white. And I'll show you exactly what that means right here. I'm going to go, I've already imported 3 of our guys. So if I go to Kirla here, you'll see up here it says D&D Beyond. If I click the edit button, I must turn that other one off. I thought it drew another one somewhere else on here, but I'm not seeing that one. Anyway, what this does is allow you to the D&D Beyond importer. These other ones are more for if you are a Patreon and you're getting other things, such as, you know, if I want to have custom compendiums that things go to, I can actually put them wherever I want. Does this have, did that change? No, it still goes to classes. So there we go. so those are kind of the settings. Like I said, we'll go more in depth in the D&D Beyond importer and stuff. Mostly we want to focus on the core and the system itself. So if we hit save changes, and we're going to quickly import one character. And the way you do this is you create a character, just name whatever. I'm just going to call him maybe Temp, like that. I want to create him in the players folder, so that's good. It is a player's character, not a non-player character or group or a vehicle, so we're going to do that. And you'll see that we have the D&D Beyond import thing. So if we click that, all we have to do is then go on to D&D Beyond, open up our character sheet, and copy the URL from the top of the top of the address bar, and then you paste it in here. This is the temporary one that I'm going to be getting rid of, so it doesn't matter. As you can see, this is the most important part for it, is to have that number, and that's why it has character ID. Once I've done that, scroll down to the bottom, click Start Import. The one thing you need to make sure when you do this is, because I don't have the cookie and all that weird stuff I was talking about here, the Cobalt cookie, it only has access to what the public would have access to. So you need to make sure that when you're creating your character on the home page, or the very first one where you're setting up the base things of that character, you know, encumbrance type, what else is it? the books that you're allowed to use and stuff like that. Every character, you have this at the beginning. At the very bottom, it says, is this character public, campaign only, or private? And what you want to do is just set it to public, and then you'll be able to get it here. So as you can see, we have Iku. I have the Z there just because I was using that to sort them so I could find them. But we can get rid of this. And I wanted to show you what I do next. So we're going to click on the little wrench. If we don't click on the wrench and we click on the little picture here, it will simply pull up a picture. If we have the little wrench saying that we're going to be editing, now if we click it, we actually get the browser. We're going to go into my assets that I have, and then we're going to go to my tokens. These are the Forgotten Adventures tokens. And I think these are all just the free ones. I don't think I actually did anything more. And let's see. So this is a fighter, and they are an orc. So you have a couple choices here. You know, depending on how you have it set up. I have all my heroes, and then inside there I have races, and then the catch-all heroes will be based off of actual class. So let's go look at orc first, but before we do that, let's do this. I want to move this just a tiny bit so I can still access that. I want to go look at inventory and see what kind of weapon. So they have a great sword. So let's see if we can find an orc with a great sword. So here's half orc. Go ahead and make them a little bigger. This guy kind of has two swords. All right, let's go look at fighters then, because sometimes you can't tell they're orcs. So if we go into catch-all, they're going to be medium size and a fighter. Like something like this. Let's do maybe the purple cape. So now we can see this is our portrait. You can actually set the portrait and the token to be different, but I like to verify, you know, that the token is actually set. So one way you can do that is, as GM, you can come in here to prototype token and just go to appearance and make sure it says kind of that path that we just went to. Sometimes, depending on different situations, you might actually go in there and it'll have another default token. Actually, while we're in here, the thing I like to set in here, as you can see, it is remembering our settings. So it is going to do it for this guy as well. So I want to change a couple of these just to make them so they're not the default. We don't want it to say angry Ziasusko or whatever. You know, I don't think I actually did that on my other ones either, is clean up their names. But I do want him to be friendly because he's part of the group. And under resources, I definitely want everyone to be able to see his health, so all other players can see his health. So those are kind of the settings I do there. We could actually go in and do dynamic token rings. Maybe we'll do that later. I don't know. Maybe we'll just turn them on and go ahead and say, not assign, sorry, I meant update. Assign is the one where you're assigning it to a specific thing, to a specific character sheet, but it's not actually just that character. Usually that's what your other tokens will be. So let's just go double check. I want to make sure, because that will definitely be something. Link actor data is fine. Always for everyone. Always for everyone. Appearance. We'll just turn on the token ring for everyone. So it looks like we got that one. That was that one. That one. Always for everyone. Nothing. Token ring. Resource. Always for everyone. Update. Close. And the last one. By the way, so we have these 4 characters. And I'm not married. Oh, I didn't do that on any of them. Dang it. I kept forgetting that part. Let's go appearance, dynamic ring, resources, always for everyone. Okay, now I have to go back to these others too. So I'm not married to any of these names. So if you guys have better names for any of these, that is great. What we have is we have a fighter, I believe Kirla here is a wizard. What was I doing in here? I need to get rid of the Z. So we have a fighter, a wizard, a cleric, which is a Aarakocra cleric. So we close that, and then we have our rogue, which is our kind of utility type character. And that one I did do, because that was the one we remembered. Okay, so anyway, I think that will do for this episode. I know you guys are probably super excited to actually get in and do a small little adventure and see how you actually run the adventure, both from the players, how you run it as the DM and what your players are going to see and stuff. And we'll definitely do that. Oh, the other thing I need to do real quick, I've already added some of them, but I haven't added our last guy. So let's add him into our thing, our party sheet. As you can see, the party sheet, I don't remember if I went over this, but you can actually see it tells you group of 4 members. You can actually tell it that's just a group, a party, encounter, or something like that. It shows you what all the hit points added together are. Movement, if there's special movement, it'll actually be there. Experience points, everyone's at 0 right now, but it'll kind of keep track of that as well. You can tell it to place members, do a short rest, long rest for everyone, ward, XP, all that fun stuff. You can do all that. You can look at the party inventory, and then of course you can give the party description. All right, that's it. In the next episode, we will actually, I think that's everything I really wanted to go over. I just want to make sure I got those game settings and what they did, or at least give you an idea and what I like to set. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Click that little notification bell. Join my Discord. Tell other people about my channel. And that is it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.